Hello everyone, I'm Raven from Raven Comics, and today we're kicking off a new series of videos where we'll explore how Darkseid regained his powers after being turned into a baby. This all happened following the Darkseid War. We begin with Hercules. A while back, he descended to this plane and decided to live a normal life, far from the gods. This decision proved difficult, given his brothers and other gods constantly pursuing him. Despite that, he tried to stay hidden. One night, he was in the forest doing his work as a lumberjack. Someone approached from behind and complimented the son of Zeus on his fine work. That someone turned out to be Grail, the daughter of Darkseid. Hercules told her he simply wanted to stay hidden. He'd had enough of his siblings' madness. Apparently, Grail knew exactly who he was, and it seemed trouble was brewing. "Time to play," she said. Calling him the son of Zeus certainly fit, but how should he address his opponent? Grail introduced herself as the daughter of Darkseid. Hercules asked what this was all about. Despite her father being incredibly powerful, they were strangers. Grail told him he was the son of an old god, while she was the daughter of a new god, and she needed his vital force for something new. Tonight, Hercules would die, and Darkseid would gain the energy of this old god. Grail struck first, lunging at him and slashing his chest with her scythe. Before she could continue, Hercules stopped her, grabbed her arm, and hurled her against a tree. It seemed his opponent was powerful after all, as he hadn't felt pain like this in ages. Grail admitted she expected no less from him. After all, her scythe was forged by Hercules' uncle. Hercules corrected her. Hephaestus had forged that scythe. Grail attacked again, but Hercules managed to fend her off. One thing was clear to him. If he was to defend who and what he was, he would do so without the shackles of his human disguise. This time, he would become Hercules the Unbound. As he began transforming, Grail used the moment to grab a tree and launch another attack. Hercules stopped the tree, splitting it in half, then grabbed one half to counterattack. For Hercules, this felt like nothing more than a primitive game that reminded him of the old days. Grail attacked again. This was merely a distraction. She reiterated that he belonged to the old gods, while she served the new. Grail unleashed her Omega Beam vision, striking him in the back. Hercules was defeated, but the worst was yet to come. Grail carried a mother box, which he placed on his chest to drain his godly energy. The time of the old gods was over. The new gods would rule this world. She opened a portal and left. On the ground lay Hercules, barely able to move. His energy was depleted, and his body resembled that of an old man. Unable to go on, he died right there. 11 days later, we find Diana, Wonder Woman, delivering the final blow to Giganta. Diana was victorious, but it wasn't over. They'd fought many times, and Diana had learned to catch her opponent before she could fall and cause damage to the city or harm civilians. Steve Trevor told Diana to let the authorities handle the situation now. For Diana, fighting her opponent had been fun, but Steve reminded her they had to leave before the press arrived. Suddenly, a stranger approached them. Steve tried to send him away, but the man insisted he had something important to tell Diana. His name was Blake Hopper, and he was a probate lawyer. He informed Diana that Mr. Paul Jackson had died 11 days ago. Diana had never heard that name before, but perhaps his real name would surprise her. Hercules was dead, and she was the heir to his entire fortune. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Grail returned to her father, presenting him with the mother box. Darkseid could feel his power growing each time he absorbed the energy of a god. Grail admitted it wasn't enough. They had been stealing the power of gods and hoped Hercules would make a difference. Darkseid urged his daughter to be patient, knowing this would take time. Zeus had many children on Earth, and they would target them next. Soon, Darkseid would be fully restored, needing only to eliminate them quickly. Back with Diana and Steve Trevor at Argus, the doctor showed them Hercules' body. Steve asked if Diana knew him. She admitted she only knew his reputation. Diana inquired about the cause of death. The doctor revealed traces of radiation emitted by Darkseid in Hercules' body, meaning someone from Apocalypse had attacked him. Steve wondered if there was any connection between the Greek gods and Apocalypse. Diana concluded Grail was behind this. Darkseid had incarnated as a baby, and only those from Apocalypse were on this planet. Diana had seen him in the catacombs when the Dark Batman appeared. The Doctor revealed that Hercules wasn't the first victim. Many others had been killed by the same apocalyptic energy. Nicholson burst into the room, reporting an attack in Paris by someone emitting apocalyptic energy. It seemed Hercules wouldn't be Grail's last victim. Diana and Steve, along with Argus soldiers, rushed to Paris's catacombs, where they encountered an attack by Apocalypse forces. Diana admitted it was difficult to fight in such a confined space, but gave it her all. Though the battle ended in victory, there was no sign of Grail or Darkseid. They deduced that these new gods were behind the deaths of the Greek gods. Their only lead now was the lawyer, who had Hercules' will. Perhaps something among his possessions could shed light on this mystery. After all, he made Diana his heir for a reason. Diana left with the lawyer Hopper. As they traveled, they reached Hercules' home. Hopper noticed Diana seemed sad and asked what was on her mind. Diana just asked him to call her by her name. While in this place, Diana realizes that Hercules was not just a legend. He was also her brother. She hadn't mentioned it because she had heard troubling stories about him. Depending on who you ask, he could be a hero or a maniac. Either way, they both had the same father. Some of her siblings had unique powers, and many were immortal. Zeus might be a great god, but he was a terrible father. That's what Diana thinks, and she doubts it will ever be proven otherwise. Her sadness over having a bad father is evident. Now, it's time to hand over part of the inheritance, which is a letter. The letter reads as follows. Hercules had always watched his sister with great pride. Many times, he wanted to let them know of his existence, but they must admit that their past is older than their recent times. His present actions consumed him with shame. Hercules wasn't always kind or good, and he's sorry for all his mistakes. He truly wants nothing from his past. The legend of Hercules no longer exists. So, he hid like a coward, and he is not proud of it. But things are not how they should be. Well, what's the point of this inheritance? Diana receives all of this because she is the only one worthy of all his material possessions. Though material things matter little, there is a great secret he has kept for a long time. He recently met Jason, an immortal like Hercules. Jason is Wonder Woman's twin brother, so he's also Hercules' brother. Diana can't believe it. Grail's mother had already told her, but she thought she was lying. It's true that Diana tried to search for him, but then forgot about him. The reading of the letter continues. One of Hercules' old tasks was to kill the Nemean lion. Diana needs to look at it. Here are some map coordinates. They never met, but they are siblings, and he loved her. Diana must move forward and find her twin brother. The map coordinates lead them to the coast of Haya. Once they arrive at the coast, they begin their search for her brother Jason. While investigating, a woman tells them that he went to work as a fisherman with his crew. They're most likely returning later. Hopper tells Diana that it seems they will have to wait. Diana tells him she's not someone who likes to wait, so she will fly off in search of her brother. Diana begins her search. After some time, she finds a boat in the middle of the sea. Wonder Woman can sense it. The person before her is Jason. She doesn't want to scare him, but she must tell him that his sister is here. Jason can feel it too, and he knows she found him. On the other hand, we switch to him. What we are about to see happens just before his confrontation with Hercules. This here is his father, the mighty Darkseid, bearer of the anti-life equation. The great darkness resides within him. His plans are vast and glorious in their simplicity and complexity. There's much to do, but there's a major issue. Currently, Darkseid is 6 years old and aging as fast as possible. Grail is the one taking care of this. What she must do is feed her father with Zeus energy by draining it from the children of the old gods. It doesn't matter whether Zeus bastards want it or not. She will steal their energy. Perseus was a powerful warrior. In ancient times, he rode his winged Pegasus and fought the Kraken. Like all immortals, he grew bored of his existence and spent time doing nothing on Earth. Perseus didn't manage to do the same thing he did with the Kraken. His sword was gone, and now his life was too. For Grail, this was fun. Darkseid tells her it's not about enjoying it. It's about him regaining his age and power. Grail is just a conduit, and she mustn't forget that. Grail tells him she liked him better when he was a baby. Her words weren't kind, but they were less harsh. Darkseid tells her he'll let that slide for now, but next time, he might not. Grail asks what will happen with the horse. Pegasus isn't a creation of Zeus, but it must have the energy of the gods. Darkseid tells her it would be foolish to chase the horse through the skies. Then, he asks for the mother box. It's time to feed right now. Darkseid takes the mother box and absorbs the energy that was just stolen from Perseus. Now, how does he look? How old does he appear? Grail says that he certainly has aged, but only a few years more. He still hasn't aged enough. Darkseid tells her she lacks patience. At least that's something she shares with her mother. Grail only hopes that he sees the best of her mother in her. They must leave now. There's still much to be done. It's true that Perseus was a legend of ancient Greece, but he turned out to be a weak god for Grail. She's ready to face a greater threat. Her new opponent might just be the greatest Greek god on Earth. It's time to fight Hercules. Okay, let's travel further into the past, precisely 3 months ago. At first, Grail was afraid of what she was doing. A while ago, Batman stole her father, and many things had to happen for her to recover him. This story takes place 3 months after the Dark Knights arrived. After Grail got her father back, she had to find a new place to live, a place where they wouldn't be found. After reaching these mountains, she had to kill all the inhabitants so no one would talk about them. What happened a while ago is still hard to overcome. Her father, the all-powerful Darkseid, died and then returned to life as a crying newborn. This happened after his fight with the Justice League. Now Darkseid is a baby, and Grail feels more like a mother than a daughter. But the question here is, how can you create a god? How can you teach him? How can you ensure he grows into the shy and sanctified greatness he once had? What if his upbringing makes him inferior in some way? Darkseid communicates with his daughter through his mind to tell her that he's hungry. After all, his blood runs through his veins just like his thoughts. Darkseid continues telling her that he's hungry. Grail asks what he wants. What does he need her to get him? He is a child, but it's likely he needs things beyond the ordinary. Darkseid tells her he is hungry. He is her new god, and what he needs is to feed off the old gods. Grail understands. So, it's time to start the hunt. It was then that she felt it. A threat. It was lurking at the outskirts of the house. The hunt had already begun. Grail only wanted to protect her father. All of this made sense after everything her father and she had done to this world. What could they expect? The targets were in sight. Special X-Force was already on the way. Argus orders were clear. They had to take them out right now. Grail was impressed they had found them so quickly. Not that she was scared. After all, they could kill everyone here. Grail had learned this group belonged to the Argus organization. This was a new elite group called the Atomic Knights. The word elite was far too grand for them. The right word was overrated. None of them were a match for Darkseid's daughter. Anyone who stood in her way was taken down with ease. She had already taken care of the planes. Now only the men on the ground remained, who were mercilessly massacred. Inside the house, one of the soldiers had found Darkseid. The soldier was about to shoot him. From afar, Grail looked worried about what was going to happen. In the end, Darkseid used his rays to incinerate half the soldier's body. They could not stay in this place any longer. Despite still being a baby who couldn't speak, Darkseid planted a seed in his daughter's mind with 2 simple phrases. Harvest the life force of an old god, energy with which Darkseid could regenerate. Grail thought the Greek pantheon had already left Earth. The reality was the opposite. Many of Zeus' offspring still inhabited this planet in a very sad way. Each of them carried a bit of their father's power. This was Reginald Lake, the only member of the British Parliament who was immortal. Well, that was until Grail made that a thing of the past. And so she slowly began eliminating the many gods still on Earth. Callisto, a bear about to be skinned, Epiphus from the Egyptian world, and others fell before her. That happened some time ago, and now Darkseid is a 12-year-old child. The hunt has taken them to the Haya coast. In the distance, a young man with the strength of Zeus can be seen. Grail wants to go after him, but Darkseid stops her. That boy is special, and he's Wonder Woman's brother. They don't need to kill him. In fact, Darkseid has special plans for him. But before anything, they will put him to the test in battle. Though Grail won't be the one to face him. Darkseid has some opponents in mind for Jason, and this brilliant young man will meet them sooner than he'd like. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm TJ Prime, and see you in the next video.